Hi, I'm Randy Burke, CEO of DCS Global. Very pleased to be giving you the first of our 8-part series on the janitorial industry. This is from a property and facility management perspective. So yeah, we're focusing initially on data. Very scarce in this industry, I'll tell you. And our sources are around our DCS RFPs and a lot that we've done, but also the initiative started when the British Columbia Contract Cleaners Association commissioned DCS to do an industry improvement study. And that caused quite a bit of research, and we had some great interviews with contractors nationally, actually, not just in British Columbia. And we've decided to put this series on. Basically, we were asked by our clients, property, and also contractors. So yeah, we've decided. In fact, we are going to do a national study after this, and so this is sort of part of that. But when we look at the cleaning industry now, certainly under stress. When post-pandemic reality, there's challenges with shrinking leases, all sorts of pretty aggressive unionization, driving costs up. So we see that there's a real need for this. This study is North American wide, although the Canadian data certainly is richer. I wanted to talk a little bit about some terms and concepts. Cost per square foot is pretty straightforward, but in the Canadian numbers includes the day staff, but not the US. Vacancy credits, I mean, it's definitely areas that are not leased that are credited back to the property management, and that credit is for actually unused space. Contractors don't go in at all. And then there's occupancy variances, and this is shrinking. It was a big deal certainly during the pandemic when buildings were almost empty at times. But there's quite a bit of back to work pressure from large companies. Still a bit of a factor in productivity depending on where you are. So it is a consideration. So occupancy is again, people returning to work has nothing really to do with the vacancy credit. Average wage rates are pretty straightforward. Cleaning staff productivity is really an interesting concept when you look at what can staff actually do in the hours they're allocated. So we're going to speak a little more about this, and we're also going to speak about there's some subcontracting workers and subcontracting systems out there. But getting into cost per square foot, I mean, you can see here that we've broken this down by major city, and certainly you can see where the unionization is prevalent, the costs are up. Not necessarily a bad thing from a labor stability point of view, but the costs are up. So when we go for our US friends, same idea as we look at average cost per square foot. And again, these do not include day staff. So hopefully that's helpful. But now we're going to break it down by regions. And again, the Lower Mainland is certainly a highly unionized environment. And they've got recently a citywide that collective bargaining agreement, which put together last year, which expires this year in 2025. So you will see costs go up again in the fall. But as you look at the cost per square foot by building size, the smaller buildings have a higher cost per square foot, and there's a lot of setup and takedown of equipment, materials. Often they've got to commute. They're outside of the main urban areas, so you've got to pay staff for that, hence the higher costs. And then it kind of drifts down a little bit as you get some productivity in the larger buildings. And then when you get to the really large buildings, there's often amenities, more day staff, and things like that that again drive up the cost. And if you look at the GTA, same basic pattern in that. Again, when you get to the really large buildings, now you're looking at productivity gains based on wide open floor plates less locks, large tenants, and the cleaners can pick up some their pace. And then if you're looking again, same basic pattern, it seems that there's not a lot of, in Alberta in particular, a lot of the buildings are in the urban area. There's not, once you get outside the city, there's not that many business parks and such. But these are good guidelines. But I did want to talk about occupancy. It is a new reality, and so staff or not cleaning staff, employees are still often Monday and Friday are very quiet days, mostly prevalent in the large urban areas, and it does reduce the cleaning load on the cleaners. Having said that, there's been a lot of horse trading, I'll call it, where there's now extra duties put into the cleaners to make up for some of the reduced load on the cleaners. So, and there's a very large push to get business back, to reoccupy. It is having an effect, obviously, in many cities. Occupancy is close back to normal. Don't forget, cleaning for health is really important. I'm going to get into this in a later presentation, but yeah, God forbid we get another serious communicable disease rip through our country, and sort of reverse that trend. But so yeah, again, really important that touchpoint sanitization is programmed and carried out with some testing is a real good idea with ATP, preferably third party. Good idea to keep track on minimum wage. We got a scale here which shows that again, very few cleaners actually get paid minimum wage. You're 10 to 15% premium on top of that in non-unionized environments, also higher in unionized environments. And so yeah, when you look at the wage rates, and we broke it down by classification here, which is helpful when you're analyzing bids and such. As you can see, they're very similar in the unionized environments, as I've said earlier, but the non-union environment down a bit. And so vacancy credits are important. Again, a vacancy credit is a cost per square foot, typically per month, that is actually given from the contractor, quoted from the contractor to the building manager for space that is literally closed off, that is not being used or visited by the cleaners at all. And so it's normally 10 to 15% of the cost per square foot for the building. The day staff, overhead, margin, equipment, all of those costs should not be included in the vacancy credit. Productivity is a big discussion point. Like we say, size matters. So smaller buildings, reduce the productivity significantly, travel time, setup, takedown. Density also makes a big difference when you have, multi-tenant, they've got a lot of doors to unlock, and going through different types of space, it slows them down. And buildings that are outside urban areas do require travel, and so cleaners need to be paid for that, to get out to outside areas, Mississauga, things like that, Surrey, on we go. And then when you look at supervision, okay, are they working or non-working? And typically that depends on the size of the building. The larger buildings, have non-working supervisors. The break is somewhere around 10 to 15 cleaning staff is when you start to need a non-working supervisor, really depending on the complexity of the work. And sometimes, frankly, where they are, the turnover rates can be high, no fault of the contractor, just based on where how much travel has to happen and such. So volume discounts are a consideration, particularly during bid time. And so when you look at, they're typically 1.5%, maybe 2% at a maximum. And we like to talk about that the human resource has elasticity. So if in fact staff are well trained. There's low turnover. They've got great equipment. Um, that the building is running well. Property management is really dovetailed with the cleaning crew. Communicating well to tenants. Then, yeah, the productivity all goes up. The opposite is all true. So it's something to understand when you understand how your cleaning program is working from a manager's point of view. And of course, scope of work is variable. We like to see outcome based or scopes of work. In other words, leave the scheduling of periodic work and things like that to the contractor. It frees them up. We are in a seasonal environment. Cleaning's a heck of a lot easier in the summer and the fall rather than the winter and the spring. And so cleaners are very adept at balancing their labor force, month over month out to match the need of increased productivity during increased to handle project work in the messy months. So scope of work's a big deal, obviously. And yeah, when you talk about management, I mean, these contract cleaning companies run thin. And so what is the management's workload and the area supervisors? How much reporting do they have to do? Both internally to their own companies and externally. The more tasks we being even consultants, property management, put on the reporting and that it slows down management. And so they have less time to train, less time to actually get out to the field. So I think the management workload is quite important. And then when you talk about productivity for day staff, yeah, quite a variable there. Are they doing things other than touch-up cleaning, porter service, mail handling, snow removal, yeah, all sorts of things. So how much exterior work? So I think that's really quite a bit of information on productivity. Some subcontracting we like to say is a blessing and a curse. It's a reality that has a lot of benefits. When you look at that you get smaller buildings outside major urban areas. You've got a family unit that are very stable, and they're able to do it do the cleaning at a reasonable rate. That's a good thing. But in reality, sometimes there's inappropriate applications of that. There's really 5 criteria for a legal subcontract. They have to be invoicing monthly. They have to have an actual contract in place. There can't be supervision, on-site supervision. They have to provide their own equipment, and there must be an element of risk for the contractor. So that's the items that are really, from a Revenue Canada point of view, are the defining elements, whether it's a legal subcontract or not. And there are abuses where some contractors are paying such small amounts to their cleaners that they're actually making less than minimum wage. Selling a contract to a cleaning group is nebulously, how do I say, what are the terms? There's a lot of investment sometimes. So I think there's some inappropriate applications, but also risks. When you look at, there's been instances in the past where the abuses have hit the press, and unions love to jump on this. So careful is what I would say, and really speak with your service provider. Be clear in your RFPs, and when contracts start up, we call it contract commissioning. It's important that clarification gets done. And if you see abuse, there is remediation. Payroll audits can happen by third parties, and so yeah, just there is a way out. But in the end, everyone has responsibility here. If things go south, and it goes all the way up to often property management, building owner, and of course down to the cleaners, the cleaning companies. So there's, I tried to get the high level here. There's a lot more information available. Things are always changing. A lot of subject matter experts. unbiased and knowledgeable. So, you know, yeah, connect, ask the questions, no obligation, find somebody that can help you. Um, Pretty unique market position as an asset. Our company's been in business over 25 years. This is not a commercial, but yeah, pick our brains or somebody. And there is, in fact, a movement now with property facility management getting involved. Focus groups will be forming, and input is so important. So it's like anything else, you get out of it what you put into it. So maybe when the time comes to be asked, if not yourself, somebody from your team can be involved, and yeah, just get the communication and work on best practices. So thanks so much. Love doing this stuff, and yeah, here's our team, and certainly you can reach out at any time. So watch for our next episode next Tuesday, and we will march down our eight series presentations. Thanks again.